if I see one more laptop by the beach post, I might just lose it. I've been working and traveling for 10 years now, and let's be real, being a digital nomad is not only sipping on coconuts 24/7, but if you do it right, it is the ultimate freedom. That part is beyond dispute. And if you're wondering whether you should work online and travel and how to make it actually sustainable, I got you. Because being a digital nomad is not out of reach at all, but it's just not for everyone. So you need to ask yourself the right questions. And that's what we're going to do today. So before we go into any concrete steps, I want to be clear about what we're talking about. And I want to debunk the biggest myths of them all, which is that being a digital nomad is like those beachfront Instagram posts that you see everywhere and that it means instant success. That's obviously not true. And I'm not even saying that it's going to take years and years before you're successful. I'm saying more like success is relative. You can consider yourself very successful within your first year of being a digital nomad, but most likely you're not going to make tons of money or reach like high recognition or anything of that sort. What people need to understand is that most digital nomads chose that lifestyle knowing that they would have to make some compromises and that within the first few years they would accept to lower the income expectations that they could have had back home by a lot most of the time. And that leads me to a couple of crucial questions that you should ask yourself before taking any further step. The first one being, what does success actually mean to you? And that's not a trick question. To each their own. There's no wrong answer. Is your goal to earn a very comfortable living fairly fast? Because then that lifestyle may not be for you. Personally, I'd rather spend my money on traveling, activities, experiences, and creating memories rather than shopping or luxurious things. That's me. Anything different is not wrong, but you need to be honest with yourself about these questions in order to figure out whether this lifestyle may be fit for you or not. And if it's not, it's totally okay. Now, another question that you need to ask yourself and that I think is not talked about enough is the ethical aspect. If you decide to live in a country, even temporarily, I personally think that you should always contribute to it. In any way, shape or form. Not just take, but also give. The version of the digital nomad that you see everywhere on social media earning dozens of thousands of dollars every month while the local community struggles, that's not what most of us are about. And personally, it doesn't sit right with me. By all means, enjoy your life, be comfortable, but also be conscious, be mindful, make sure you give back and don't just treat the world like your playground. I'm closing that parenthesis. So now you've asked yourself the right questions, you've figured it out, you know that this lifestyle is great for you. Fantastic. Now the serious stuff starts and you move on to step 2. You need to make sure that you have a money plan before you book your tickets. Some digital nomads freelance through platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, which you've probably heard of if you've done your research already, and you have plenty of them out there. Some more generic, some more specialized into specific skills. So before you jump in, just make sure that you really take the time to identify what your experience fits best. I personally started by freelancing skills that I was already good at, doing some strategy consulting online. I didn't love the work, but you don't always get to do what you love at first. You have to build up to it. And that leads me to a point that is quite controversial and that not so many people agree with, but I'm going to say it nonetheless. If you want to become a digital nomad, you have to be willing to step down before stepping up again. I know it's not what people want to hear, but they have to know that many digital nomads had to drop their ego before getting to a sustainable income. Probably not all of them, but a good chunk for sure. No one's getting paid for just existing. And I'm sorry to tell you that no one's waiting for you either. You're going to be entering a pretty competitive field. So if you don't have any marketable skills yet, you may have to work for free or at a lower rate to prove yourself. That's just how it is. Don't shoot the messenger. And that's true both for freelancing and starting your business. You know that analogy that they make about the tip of the iceberg and success, right? That's completely true. There's always going to be a risk factor and some time and energy that you're going to be putting for free to get the ball rolling. Look what I'm doing right now for YouTube. It may seem very simple like that. You're just watching that video, but you have to understand that each and every video that I make takes me between 20 to 30 hours to make. I'm not making a single cent out of any video that I'm making, right? Obviously, I'd like eventually to be monetized for it, but before it happens, it might take a year or two, maybe it will never happen. Everything you have to learn and you have to build credibility before it pays off, if it ever pays off. So I guess another question that you guys should ask yourself is this: are you willing to take that risk? If yes, great. If no, great. But yeah, to be a digital nomad, you need to accept that there's going to be a lot of work to get off the ground. Build a portfolio, build a network. Offer value first and work your way up. When the work part is being sorted, and only when it's being sorted, then you can start worrying about what is going to be your next destination. As for me, I have left many times with just a bit of saving to another country and figured myself out once I was there, because I know that somehow, in a weird way, I function pretty well under pressure and without a safety net. But I know that many people don't function like that, so I would never recommend that you do what I did, especially right now that the remote job market is much more difficult to penetrate than it used to be. So once you start being comfortable with your remote position, please choose a place that won't destroy your wallet just yet. Not all digital nomad cities are equal, unfortunately. Some places make it easy to thrive, others not so much. And most importantly, and that's something that's not talked about enough, look into the legalities. Not every country makes it easy for people to just go and work remotely. So that's definitely something that you want to look into before picking your next destination. Now you're all sorted, actually living in your new temporary home. Great. The last thing that I want to share is that I want you to make sure that you do fight for your work-life balance. Because the idea that digital nomad or even remote workers work less than people at the office is a complete myth. When you work remotely, it's very easy to let work consume your life. Not joking. But the whole point of this lifestyle is freedom, right? You have to be disciplined to both work enough when it's tempting to always be on holiday, but also not to be consumed by it. I mentioned that FOMO is real when you're a digital nomad, and that's true. So make sure that you don't miss out on just everything. I've fallen into that pit before, and that just leads to depression and burnout. And that's certainly not what you fought for. This lifestyle is not reserved for lucky people. It's built by people who take action. And if it is made for you, it's certainly worth fighting for. Let me know in the comments if you've been thinking of working remotely and where you would go first. And also if you'd like to see more content about the nomadic lifestyle. You got this. Keep going.